Hey guys, so as you may well know, the professional viewer for Overwatch League Stage 3 matches has officially come out. We can watch games from any angle, we can go in slow motion, a lot of interesting features. So I thought I'd play around with it a little bit, and I went back and watched the Hollywood game between the New York Excelsior and the London Spitfire. Went pretty in depth on a lot of different things during this stream. Watched back all of the fights, kind of discussed why some mistakes happened, and a couple of interesting wrinkles that London added to deal with the Sombra Goats, but a couple of mistakes in their execution. So we went pretty in depth on this one, and yeah, if you want to understand the matchup and kind of rewatch that game from a different perspective, it should be an interesting watch, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So it's always interesting to watch. Oh, okay, the overlays are wrong, but it's always interesting, I think, to watch the neutral fight in this first fight, because usually the way you would take it is, you know, like these are the default positions for the goats setup. Like D.Va is usually holding here, so it's difficult for the attackers to cross. But the way you attack it with the Sombra is you usually put her on the point here or here, and then the rest of the team. The rest of the attackers, what's the pause button? The rest of the attackers just kind of peek out here, give her resources because you have the LOS. They give her the armor pack, the orb, but they never move in. They never step over this line because that's when the defense can drop on them and kill them. And they just basically force resources back onto point. Usually the D.Va tries to contest. You can farm a lot of EMP on D.Va, and that's how sort of you would normally take it. Like that's how the matchup usually plays out. You can see that, like SBB goes towards point, he gets noticed. So this is actually huge because it delays the it delays his first rotation. And if you see how that happened, it was very random. Oh, this is taking a long time. Come on. Alright, so what happened here was that Birdring actually, I think randomly, if we look at Birdring's POV, he just randomly swung and found him, right? And that's really huge because it delays New York's first rotation. Bedosian peeks over here, they push him off. And that's what London actually did the whole time. Like they were putting Bedosian and Birdring on duty to push away the Sombra, which accomplishes two things. You're not exposing your D.Va, which means the enemy Sombra, as be in this situation, can't farm as much EMP. And you just give the orb to Birdring, and he basically pushes the Sombra away. Or at least delays and doesn't give up too much ult charge. You know, and that's kind of the adjustment you make. As soon as London sees the Sombra, rather than Fury holding the default position, which is this, he just moves up top to protect his hitbox and make sure he doesn't feed the EMP. And I thought this was a little nice wrinkle. So even though SBB is getting a lot of resources here, these guys are preventing, these guys are relieving the point pressure. As you can see, SBB really isn't getting a ton of ult charge. And obviously, even though you're sort of fighting a 2v1 here, like SBB is drawing a lot of aggression, this gives Excelsior a little bit of more room to work with, you know, right? Like if Fury was here, they wouldn't be able to take this space. But now that SBB's pushed away, now they drop. Right? SBB, let's see, where is SBB? SBB is here. So Bedosian and Birdring pushed him into Cafe, and as soon as Excelsior starts taking the space, that's when they drop in pressure. But SBB still has a good position, so as long as Excelsior can kite this out, now SBB has high ground, he can keep farming. And Spitfire can't really commit fully. You know, they can't really chase all the way here, but they do get Nene, so Excelsior overreached a little bit. So far, Spitfire is doing a really good job dealing with SBB's pressure. You see they're just leaving Birdwing to contest. They even catch and kill him. And Spitfire is getting the best of both worlds. They're not, they're relieving the pressure on the point, but they're also not giving up space for free, right? Because you don't want Excelsior to have a chance to cross into this room and go all the way around and take this high ground. You never want to let them do that. So far, Spitfire is doing a very good job of this. Same situation. All right, we see Jonak peeking in that little room and giving SBB the orb, but still, Birdwing is denying it. And because of this, Bdoshin also has an angle to discord him, so it's even easier to push him off. So he's 3 or 4 rotations in now, and he's still only at 70% EMP. As soon as he recalls back, Bdoshin can peek up a little bit. Okay, so let's take a look at this error, because London ends up in a really odd situation here. They do want to tempo shift. They want to push into. They do want to push into Mineral. Do you agree that people who run summer guns just take an easy way out from running real guns? I mean, if you can't really compete in the mirror, you might as well, right? But yeah, I do think the composition is superior. So let's take a look at this situation. Again, replaying. So SBB gets pushed off. As soon as he translocates out, now London calls for an engage. Because now there's no point pressure to worry about. SBB is out. Let's see, where does he have his translocator? It's here. So SBB's translocator really isn't too bad. Even if London drops and pushes them, he's still in the fight. He can still threaten with a hack. And the issue here is that London calls for this tempo shift and to push, but Birdwing isn't ready. Like, he doesn't push up with the team. Bdoshin isn't really ready either, right? So if we look at the situation, and Birdwing doesn't move. So if London wants to make this play, Birdwing needs to move up top with his teammates so that they can actually push and bash. But now, like, Nuss already is going for this play, and Birdwing is really trailing the play. Because he doesn't get any speed, he is essentially like 2 or 3 seconds away from being in a position to bash. So virtually, even though Spitfire does get the drop here, and Jonak is a little bit overextended, they could potentially get the kill. It's difficult, right? And they give up high ground. And like I said, SBB recalled in a position where he can still threaten with the hack. So Spitfire forced out SBB, but then they just overcommitted. They give up the high ground advantage, and Gesture gets hacked. And now they're in real trouble. Because Prophet also misses a bubble. So two-way issue, right? Like if Gesture just drops, even if he gets hacked, they're fine. They're still fine if they have the bubble, because he can walk back up. But because the bubble is missed as well, now it puts you in a really odd situation, because Bdoshin pretty much just has to trans to save Gesture. He can't put up shield. He can't get you can't remove the Discord. So Bdoshin pretty much has to trans, or Gesture just dies.
Into the iris.
And you trade trances, and in this situation, you have NYXL getting a better trance. So their trance is going to last a little longer. Prophet does have a grab, but SB is coming up on the EMP, so Prophet needs to get his grab off. But wisely, York Excelsior just disengages. Spitfire is like, okay, well, we traded trances, but we're still... This is actually okay for Spitfire. So you traded trances and nothing came of it for Excelsior. And this is good for you because now Prophet has a grab and there's no counterplay on the Spitfire side, really. Right? If you just rally and grab now as Spitfire, you should be able to secure this fight. Right? You take high ground, you dictate how to... Because SBB can't EMP up top, because that's a place where Excelsior just can't follow up on the MP. So now, again, once again, Spitfire gets to dictate the engagement. As long as they can find a rally grab, they should be able to win this fight. So let's see what happens. Birdring does end up out of position, though. Ooh, that's very important. Because Birdring ends up out of position. If he went this way, this would be a perfect opportunity. Prophet snipes the grab, Birdring rallies, and even if SBB uses a rally, an EMP to try and peel for his team, the rally is still ticking, so it's still kind of difficult to, it's still difficult to kill London. But now Birdring has once again zoned himself out of the fight. So twice, 2 situations in a row, he's trailing the play. He's not on the same page as his team. Because Prophet, you can see here, he's ready to go. And he snipes. Well, once again, we have a 5 versus 6 here. Animal blocks it with beat. They boop away gesture. And now you're, again, in an odd situation. Because if you would have rally going here, you would still be in decent shape. Right? Like, Prophet would be getting a lot of armor. He would be getting topped up. This would still be okay. Let's see how this plays out. So gesture pins. Now Birdring pops the rally. But everything's a little bit delayed. Right? So SBB blocks the pin with his EMP. Prophet does dodge it. But now, like, not everyone is getting armor in this fight, right? Like, Birdring popped it a little late. And ideally, if you execute this play correctly, gesture might not even need to pin. Like, he could just shatter in the grab. If we replay it 20 seconds back a little bit, let's see how they use their bubble. Because gesture also got booped out of position, and really he shouldn't be able to get booped out of position. Let's take a look at the situation. Let's first take a look, actually, how does Birdring get isolated? He just overstays. Like, he needs to go up the stairs with the rest of his team. He messes up here. And Prophet looks back at his team and you can see, like, he's are ready. And Birdring, it's clear that Birdring just wanted to go all the way back around, and now he's coming back main way. So gesture drops shield. Because Prophet obviously wants to, like, if they're gonna pin this, Prophet wants to wait for gesture to drop, initiate his pin animation, and then the bubble needs to come down. So gesture should know that he's not getting a bubble here, and there's really no need for him to swing into it either, because he already has the he already has the shatter, of course. And yeah, like, no, Prophet can't block the beat Hexadec. He can't block it with his bubble. Animo just moves to the side and everyone gets it. And now the pin comes out. But does Prophet have an angle? No. So Prophet does not have LOS on gesture on this pin. So a lot of mistakes. Like, Spitfire put themselves in a really good position ult-wise. They got a really good initial transfer, but now there's just so many execution problems. Birdring's isolated. He doesn't get his rally off. Gesture drops shield and gets booped, so his pin is delayed. Because his pin is delayed, Prophet's under a lot of pressure. He has to take cover, and now he can't actually bubble gesture either. And boom, they got him, right? So now all of these guys can just kill gesture. And now Nuss has to, because Nuss is obviously hiding for the, Nuss can't drop because he knows SBB has his EMP. So now it's up to Nuss to save his team and counter this. But still, like, gesture is so isolated because of this, because of how discombobulated this play was, how everyone went one by one. Like, no one is really in position to help gesture. So even if he gets the beat here, all of these guys can follow up and kill him anyway. I think there's no bubble on the board anymore anyway. Or the bubble comes out now. But still, like, gesture is pretty much locked up here. So he should be dying pretty quickly. Birdring does come in with his rally. Ooh, and Mono actually finds a huge shatter. So they do. London does save Gesture, but because Gesture is under so much pressure, rather than him looking for a shatter himself, he has to start running away, which opens it up for this type of a shatter play. Let's see if NYXL can salvage this. Okay, so they still have the grab. So it's still winnable. It's a lot of damage here. Now it's a little bit difficult, but yeah. So they lose too many there. And that's basically why Sombra Goats is hard to play, because you don't have the same amount of damage mitigation, right? Like, even though Excelsior sort of played everything right, like, Spitfire certainly made a lot of mistakes. Spitfire's composition allows for more mistakes. Whereas Excelsior needs perfect execution. They need maximum value out of every ult, basically. And it took a little too long to counter and to kill a Gesture there. And yeah, I don't think that EMP hit a lot of people. I think it was just on Gesture. So not a great EMP. Again, you have to get so much value out of all your ults, like I said, especially the EMP. And if supports are up top, actually that split, you know, so like I said, Spitfire ends up very, very split, but that some of it might be conscious as well in that previous fight, simply because they know that the EMP is coming up. That's why Prophet, after following up, he hides here so that he can potentially dodge the EMP. Supports stay up top. Fury also started dodging it this way. So the issue was really, like, the only thing that put, if we play that fight back again, the only thing that really put London under risk there is kind of the angle of Gesture spin, and the fact that he pinned so deep, which provided Excelsior with an opportunity to potentially kill him. Let's take a look at that again. Fight is over already. Never mind. But yeah, so Spitfire afterwards did a good job splitting up after the initial drop. So now, if you're Excelsior, you're in real trouble, right? You've used every single ult. Now you need kind of a miracle. And Spitfire, even though like it didn't look too hot, again, as long as Fury doesn't get EMP'd, as long as that EMP, because that EMP went just on Gesture, Prophet still drops his bubble, Fury can still Matrix, so that bought time for Nuss to actually hit the beat. If one of those guys gets EMP'd, say if SBB in that situation would have EMP'd here and caught maybe both of them and Gesture, then Excelsior win that fight. Now it's really rough, because Prophet has energy advantage here, and you have no ults. Ooh, Nuss. Nuss almost gets picked off. And Birdring misses Bash on SBB. You see, SBB is still getting all the resources, he's getting the orb. He knows that Birdring doesn't have Bash, so he can pressure a little more aggressively. He does get discorded though. And he gets killed again. Right? And this is the wrinkle that Spitfire did that I really like. You know, they're 2v1. They know that Excelsior can't really punish them here, and they're pressuring SBB, and they're getting so many free picks off of this. With that two-man game. Yeah, SBB might getting a lot of resources, but he's also getting discorded and he's getting 2v1. So if he gets hit by the Bash, he just dies. Why does it skip load so slowly for you? I think honestly it's oh, let's go. What's going on here, guys? Let's replay that. I think it's just how this client works. I've seen other people complain about this as well. Okay, so they get SBB and they get greedy. They want more. They want more, but again, we're in the same issue. Like, it's the same issue as the previous fight. So Spitfire tempo shifts and they want to go super aggressively, but this is still quite a distance to close. And you have to remember, these two guys are running their two-man game on the point, so they're trailing the play, and they're not getting the speed. So even though this seems like a 6 versus 5, really right at this moment, it's more of a 4 versus 5. You know, Birding and Bedosian still out of the fight. Now Bedosian gets an angle. They bubble, but look how much they've overextended. Right? Like Birdring is still out of the fight. So this is a 5 versus 5, and Gesture commits really, really deep with his bubble. So this is where London really messes up. Maybe. They're still getting sort of the better of the trade because there's no damage mitigation. But they're going really hard for these skills. Let's see if they can secure a kill. So they don't secure a kill. Yeah, they don't get punished, but they don't get a kill either. And they don't get a kill because again they're pushing essentially 5 versus 5. That also, like, that whole exchange gave Excelsior a lot of time to farm ults. So now you have support ults coming up, but they still need SBB's ult. So this is probably an adjustment on the side of Excelsior, because SBB must have called that, okay guys, I'm getting double teamed on the point every time. So I'm going to go on point, I'm going to call the double team. Let's see, where is SBB now? Okay, so he calls the double team. And rather than Excelsior playing passively here, they just start going up this way. Because they know that these two are on point. So if London drops and engages, which, you know, they've been doing, they know, well, in their minds, they're saying, we're the GOATS team, we can push, we can just double forward and we can win. But the reality is, this is a 4 versus 5. And if SBB, I'm not sure where he has his translocator, but here, like, he can still come in at an off angle. So SBB can contribute to this fight a lot faster than Bedosian and Birdring can. And again, Prophet misses another bubble, right? Twice this has happened now when they're dropping, and he hits Fury with a bubble rather than Gesture. So now London is really, really screwed, right? Like if you look at how this fight is playing out right now. Because again, Bedosian is put in this shitty situation where he probably has to trance, but he is too far from Gesture. So even if he trances, he can't really save Gesture now, right? So very tough situation. And then Fury bombs this. And again, difficult to get value out of this bomb. These two guys are split. Now SBB translates back here. Again, like we said, he can contribute to the fight a little faster. It's difficult seeing this bomb getting value. This bomb does relieve a little bit of pressure in terms of, you know, like Excelsior can't really turn the fight. But the Shatter gets blocked too. Jonak trances it. So now I've bombed and shattered for trans, which isn't terrible. Nusser extends a little bit. Almost gets picked. Ooh, Gesture's under so much pressure. And now it's okay. So they snipe the grab, but Gesture, because of like how this whole fight. So this entire fight, like London Spitfire does not have Birdring's Inspire, because Birdring started here and he moved up to here. Because of that, Gesture takes so much damage, right? Like, and Gesture didn't get bubble either. So when they don't get kills and he has to kite back from this position all the way there, he is gonna take a lot of damage, which puts, again, Bedosian in a weird situation. Like, we're grabbing, but there's no way Gesture can pin this or really swing in it if he's this low HP. And now he gets the bubble, but the bubble comes pretty early, so he can still get booped here. But he does swing and he does get the kills. But that's the critical issue here. The fact that Spitfire, despite all of their advantages, used so many ults. They bombed, they shattered, they tranced just for the trance. So this is where the game is sort of lost, because these engages are a little bit sloppy by Spitfire.
30 seconds remaining.
Jonak also goes for Ana here, which is interesting. I mean, it's not too bad because he knows this is gonna be the last fight, right? Like, he knows this is the last fight, and he knows they're gonna get EMP and they're gonna use the EMP. So if he EMPs and they can hit a nade, that can probably be an easy kill. And, you know, Ana in this type of a fight where it's the last fight scenario, she can bring a ton of value. So again, we're back in the same situation. SBB. Pressures. Now Birdring. So Birdring bashes onto the point. Birdring's a little bit all over the place, it feels like, in this match. But again, same situation. 2v1 on point. Libero uses his rally. Birdring has his rally, but again, he can't help the team. So once again, we have the same situation. London is taking a 4 versus 5 here. And we have rally and beat on the side of Spitfire. Or, sorry, on the side of Excelsior. And we have, in this moment, no support ults to keep this pace on the side of Spitfire.
10 seconds remaining.
And because of that, Gesture dies again. The two supports who were supposed to help are not there because of the Sombra pressure. So again, a very Spitfires is just kind of in this mindset to press W as soon as Excelsior starts taking space. And it feels like Excelsior made this adjustment. Like you see, okay, they're pushing us all the time, but they're also keeping 2v1ing SBB on point. So we can probably abuse this. Not a great EMP. But it should be enough. Because Gesture is dead, it doesn't really matter. The fight is pretty much over on that push. Do you review only team games or sometimes pro, non-pro players? I do a bunch of stuff. I do coaching, one-on-one coaching. I do a bunch of stuff. Mega Bob 5000. So yeah, London got a little trigger happy up in that first point. Used 3 ults for 1 on one of those engages. And then did the same thing here. But now they didn't have the ults to actually bail them out. Right? So yeah. So now, let's see the situation. So Prophet has a grab. He can snipe it. Let's see how London opts to play this. You can't, it's going to be very difficult to push SBB off unless Fury and Nuss work together. Now Nuss goes up on his own, but Fury didn't. Does he get the boop though? I think he gets the boop. So good play by Nuss here, that he didn't actually need help, he just booped him off. And immediately you see London going for the grab. Both teams actually going for the grab. But Nuss beats. Why does Nuss beat here? Both teams are in the grab, so neither team can follow up on the grab. There is absolutely no reason for Nuss to beat here. Really isn't. I mean, Jonak is looking for a nade, I guess, but even if he hits the nade, these guys are locked in the grab. Like there's a shield in front of them. They can't really do anything. And this means that if Animo survives this burst, he will get a better beat than Nuss. So obviously, see, and now the beat comes in. And now London has to kite because Nuss's beat was too early. Gesture gets hacked out of his, again, SBB, remember, SBB got pushed down here, but he still has an off angle. So he hacks Gesture out of his shatter. So really poor ult usage here by Spitfire. Yeah, it must have been a panic beat, Nimi. I'm not sure. Maybe he thought, well, they grabbed us, I need to beat, but Prophet had already grabbed them as well. So really, those two ults cancel each other out. If Excelsior grabbed them and there is no grab, like counter grab to prevent the follow-up, maybe you could beat. But in this situation, that was definitely not necessary. And then Gesture also loses his shatter. So once again, we end up in this situation where Excelsior has used grab for grab, shatter, and beat. Well, they have used their beat as well, but it's a better beat. And because of this hack on Gesture, now you can take all the space in the world if you're in New York.
Nerf this.
And Fury has to bomb to really relieve pressure, right? So if Fury doesn't bomb here, New York Excelsior presses W and Gesture dies, and you lose this fight. So now Fury is trying to salvage this fight by relieving pressure with a Diva Bomb, which forces Excelsior to hide. But even then, you know, you're still coming behind out. Like this is not a great trade because you used 4 ultimates for 2 if you're Spitfire, and SBB has already farmed his EMP. So you're pretty much, unless this bomb somehow kills 3 or 4 people, you've already lost this fight. Or unless SBB somehow dies. So SBB must have not had a translocator. Because him dying here actually changes things a lot. You know, if he stays in this fight with EMP, just survives, this fight is over. There's nothing that Spitfire can do. But even now, it's still sort of doable. It's going to be hard. Like, Jonak is going to probably need to hit a clutch nade here and save someone with his nano. Oops. Game just minimized. Alright. Yeah, so SBB dying really hurt them there. But yeah, as soon as SBB dies, so this is, you know, this is exactly what happens. Jonak hits a big nade, and Mano baits very well here. Like, he positions himself in this little corner. Everyone from London pushes because in their minds, we got the man advantage, but they put themselves in a position where a nanoed Mano can swing on 4 people. With also a nice nade from Jonak. And the fight is over. Mano also shatters for good measure. So if we look at the ults, London committed everything. They really poor ult usage in that previous fight, and because of that, now we're heading into a fight where they have to hold this against an EMP and against a rally, right? So Bedoshin, it's going to be interesting to see how Bedoshin plays this, because Bedoshin has to hide. He can't really be in the fight because he needs to get his trance off. But if Libero pressures with his rally, you know, you might get into a situation where you force it out as well. So let's see how they play this, and how SBB plays this too. Let's see, where do we have SBB? Okay, so SBB is behind them, where I would like SBB to be, because he has all the time in the world to reposition after this fight, right? I think he should just translocate up here, throw his other translocator up here, and then from this point, he has a great view. You know, like, he could potentially bait Bedoshin's trance here very, very easily. You know, like, if not now, Excelsior pops their rally. If SBB is here, he can't get stunned. His EMP can't get cancelled if he wants it, and he can just bait out the trance really easily here. So I'm not really a fan of SBB flanking like this, because it makes it hard for him to EMP, and he should always try to use high ground because it protects him from the brig as well.
Pass.
But like we said, Libero's rally forces out Bedoshin's trance. But I do think this trance is a little early. There is no hack. SBB hasn't really shown himself, and Bedoshin uses his trance really, really early before Gesture took too much damage. So I think Bedoshin's trances in the first couple of fights, those came at the mistake of the rest of his team, whereas this one I think is a little early. You know, if SB was here and pressuring from here, I wouldn't fault this at all. Like, it would be fine. Now it comes out a little early. So now, if you're Excelsior, you just use this ticking rally to completely disengage, wait out the trance, and then you re-engage with your EMP. Let's see how this plays out. SB also gets a nice hack on Nuss here. Right? Because as soon as the trance comes out on the side of London, London thinks, okay, they still have EMP. We have to get a kill with this trance or we lose the fight. So Nuss is, you know, like, he wants to go forward, but he also gets hacked. And his momentum carries him all the way over here, where he should be pretty much a free kill. And worst case scenario, even if he gets out, without speed boost, it's very easy to disengage for New York in this situation. And that's happened. Like, he survives, but New York disengages. Right, so let's see. Now, and again, London spreads because of the... So now London can't really play properly. They can't just press W into Excelsior because they know the EMP is up. So you can see that in their positioning. They're very, very spread here. They don't want to all get EMP'd. SBB goes top. But Fury, I think, hears his chance. No, he doesn't. Okay. SBC is this is a good angle. He could potentially get 5 here. Okay, so he goes for Bedoshin. Goes for Bedoshin and Prophet, which is fine. He takes off the armor for presumably, right?
Apagando las luces.
Oh, he gets a 6-man. Oof. Okay, there we go. So yeah, a bit of an early trance by Bedoshin, but really heading into this fight, London was already in a really bad situation based on,
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
based on how poorly they played the previous fight ult-wise. And now you just get, 3 split spawns, you just get these kills, you clean them up. This BB dies again. Jonax is still stuck on Ana here because he's, since that swap in the previous fight. And he actually goes up here for a little bit of a flank, which is interesting. Like a lot of teams, most teams actually, when the payload is in this corner, most teams will actually go and clear top. So it's interesting to see that he goes for this because this is risky. He hits Fury with a sleep though, so they slow down the momentum a little bit. Let's see how this plays out. So again, now you just want to press W. You don't have an EMP to worry about anymore, so you can just kill them. You can just all in here. You also, Prophet almost has a grav. You also have a rally, so you can just rally engage here and try to run over Spitfire. But if Spitfire, as soon as they see this, they should be flipping the map and really spreading out. And once again, they can bait with the nano. Like if Mano takes a lot of damage, he can nano and potentially swing back, just like we saw in the previous fight. And then SBB still is playing up top with this angle. So let's see what he gets with this. Maybe he can get a hack off here. Oh, Bedoshin is actually... Bedoshin knows that this is a very common Sombra spot, so he wants to clear this as well. Okay, gesture drops, swings. Very good Excelsior, they're flipping the map. Nene also grabs to relieve some pressure. And Prophet still doesn't have his grav. So if Prophet had his grav here, he would immediately counter grav and catch Nene, Libero, and Mano. But he doesn't have it yet. So the question is, do Excelsior commit the nano here? Do they just go for a pin? Can they get a pin kill here before Prophet counter grabs? Should be able to. Okay, he gets the bubble. Mano gets the bubble here. And he goes for the pin. He hits the Rhine. And that should be enough to burst him. Very nice. So very good grab by Nene. But again, this is how small the margins are. Because if Prophet is at 99%, if a Spitfire potentially waits, or like if Nene's grab is a split second too late, or if Prophet gets 1 or 2 percentages, if this fight starts with Prophet like on 94% instead of 92%, he just counter grabs, and this play is not possible. And then almost certainly you see Spitfire winning this fight because they would hit beat, they would get Diva Bomb, they have Rally, they would get Bedoshin's ult, they 100% win this fight. But because of how the timing plays out, they do get the kill. Nene is a little bit overextended here, so you can still lose the fight here. Yeah, and like Nene, as soon as he grabbed, needed to reposition himself faster, but Mano has a very nice angle here. And now again, Spitfire is committing ults to try and salvage this fight. So now, okay, so Mano got the kill, or Mano got the shatter kill before the graph came out, but you're still trying to salvage a bad fight. Jonak has a good position, so he can potentially nade these guys and maybe even nano one of them. And that should be enough to win this fight. And then SBB can close it out with his ult in the next fight. Good boop by Animo. He boops everyone back and actually beats to counter it, which is, that's fine. That's sort of their ult to counter the grab. SBB gets a grab on Prophet as well. And again, Fury commits his bomb to try and salvage it. So now you're in a 6v4 situation and you're using ults to try and salvage this fight, which is like just take the L. Like you've already messed up. But now yeah. So once again, like London goes into the fight. Small margins that actually lose it ultimately, but they commit Rally, Zarya ult, and Diva ult for Grav and Shatter and Beat. And because Nene's Grav was the second ult to come into the fight, and Rally was sticking the whole fight for Birdring, which means the fight extends and Nene has a lot more time to farm up a new graph, which is why I see the Prophet's graph came out very late, Nene's came out very early, so he might even get a new graph in this closing sequence. SB already has Izzot, they have Rally, they have so much pressure with. This is all now it's an almost impossible fight for London to win.
60 seconds.
As soon as it's almost as if as soon as the Nene's graph came out and Gesture got killed, it's almost as if Spitfire should just kind of dry fight after that. Or maybe grab and force the bead, but no more than that. Because now you have nothing to relieve the pressure, right? If you're London. Like now they have to dodge the EMP. SBB, now SBB, I like the position that SBB takes. I wanted him to play on jail in the previous fight. You know, on second point, where he has a better vantage point. He can kind of pick and choose. If someone hides here, he can get them as well. Now he's actually playing that position. So very, very nice. I like this. And yeah, like how does Spitfire contest this? You know, if Fury had his bomb, he could bomb before SBB uses his EMP, and then maybe that creates a little bit of space to do a little bit of something. But now it's just kind of lost. Nuss can't help him. Gesture has to touch the point, but now SBB can just hold his ult, and Nuss is out of the fight, right? Or he can actually use it and hit everyone. Nano from Jonak, and another 6-man EMP. So very good EMPs here by SBB. As soon as he takes high ground, he's getting these really, really big EMPs. On second point, he got a 6-man. Here, he also got a 6-man, and yeah. But this fight again, this is already lost way before the sequence. So to summarize this round, London could have easily full held, but they had a lot of sloppy engages on first point. I liked their wrinkle with Birdring and Bedoshan stopping the point and really making life hard for SBB. But they forced one bad engagement too many, with Birdring like being all over the place. You like their wrinkle? Wrinkle means sort of like a tactical deviation. You know, like I said, if the default is for the diva to come and contest to relieve pressure when Sombra goes on point, a wrinkle is we change that. We have someone else pressure the point. That's kind of a tactical wrinkle. Do you plan to do OWL POV analysis? I might do that. Yeah. I was thinking about it. So now we're on to Excelsior's defense, and again with Sombra goats, it's really, really hard to defend these points because you have Spitfire who has the advantage in the brawling department. So as soon as they can get on point, they have the advantage in the first fight, and they need to get SBB a lot of ult charge. So they're positioned in a way where again they can give SBB resources. He can get a little bit of farm here, and then he's gonna move on to his next checkpoint. So let's see how this plays out. You know, he gets bubble, he gets all the resources here, SBB does. But obviously, Spitfire knows Excelsior knows they can't fight, so they fall back. And they take the high ground. SBB got 18%, not too much, but it's better than nothing. Now London just heads over the point. And now they have the advantage. So they don't have the high ground, but they have the better composition in the neutral. So they need something. They need, because these guys have to kite. They can't really trade. So they are setting up a nice concave, right? Like if you look at the setup here, SBB is on left side, Jonak's on right side, and Mano is kiting. So as Lydon is pushing, there's an opening for SBB and Jonak to potentially pick apart the backline. So good positioning because they're controlling both the high grounds here, Excelsior. And Animo is obviously helping Mano. Like, Mano needs the speed R, whereas these guys, they don't need Animo's help at all.
Time to raise my APM.
But you see, everyone presses W. Now Bedoshan gets discorded. This could potentially be an opening, but Nuz does a good job to peel SBB, and SBB isn't even thinking about Bedoshan. I think the only way you can really win this fight, if you're Excelsior, is if you get Bedoshan here. or something else happens. Let's see. Yeah, see, Mono just kind of falls over and dies, right? So this was the opening they needed, but good peel by Nuss. They aren't very healthy though. They've lost a lot of shield. Nene is very charged. SVB still has a bit of an off angle. Prophet gets hacked. That's pretty big as well. But you're still fine here. If you're London, you should be at least. But still, we have to worry about the high grounds. No one cleared Jonak. SVB is back on the high ground too. They're gonna shoot you in the back. But Jonak is isolated. So Fury, good job pushing Jonak here. Nice peel by SVB. This is really nice because SVB can't really do anything here. But he sees Fury pushing Jonak and he immediately helps. So if they can get the DMAC here, maybe they could do something. Now you just have to have really good kiting. If you're near, obviously you need a huge clutch, but yeah. So good job by Spitfire here. Understand that. Ignore these guys. These two guys have put themselves out of the fight. But we need more kills. We need to clean up this fight fast. We can't let these guys play the off angle here. These guys play the off angle here. We don't want them to surround us and sandwich us. And now SVB is kind of in dead space because London is pushing around this corner. So his flank position, his high ground is basically negated. So good tempo shift by London. And they should close it down. And again, this is why it's so difficult. Yeah, this is why it's so difficult to play the Sombra on first point defense. King's Row on hybrids. So we're thinking King's Row, think Hollywood, think all of these maps. It's very, very difficult because you don't have enough time. Like SB does not have enough time here to farm up his ultimate. So you are giving up first point for free. But now SB does have his ultimate. But again, Spitfire has almost everything because of how easily they won that fight. But Prophet still doesn't have his ult to lead here. Right, let's see. So to win this fight, if you're Spitfire Excelsior, you sort of need a mistake from the side of. Let's just replay this a little bit. You need some kind of a mistake, because London is so stacked in ultimates, or you need kind of an early pick. So the way you can get an early pick is, again, what we talked about. If Jonak can sneak in a Discord on the Zen, and his BB has position or an angle on him, like we saw that little opening that never materialized in first point, then you could potentially make something work. Like you can get an early pick, or you can force out an early ult. As you can see, in this situation, London is hitting their ult spike a lot faster. Profits ahead on grab, like everyone's 10% ahead of their counterpart, and there's no EMP to engage with. But also London presumably anticipates that there's going to be an EMP on the board, so they are a little bit spread. Bedosian is discorded here, so now this is the opening. This is potentially the opening where you get something done. Let's see if SBB pursues this. And he does. And now you're in a really shitty spot because look at how slow London is to react here. No one is even looking at Bedosian. Not even Bedosian is looking. And when he's discorded, he needs to be very careful. You know, he has no idea where he's getting shot from. No one's turned around. Now he has to gamble. He has to think, I either have to trance now, or I risk dying and we just lose this fight with no ults being used. Or maybe I can trust Fury and Prophet to give me resources to peel this off. But it's a really tough spot. Now he turns around, but again, like he has no idea where he's getting shot from because he's late to turn around. So he just 180s and shoots wherever. And he sees the SVB, and again, no one's really turned around to peel for him. So he pretty much has to trance here. Now Fury turns around, but like it's so late, right? Maybe Fury's Matrix is on cooldown as well. Let's take a look. Oh, it's up, but maybe it was on cooldown just a second ago. So the Matrix is a little bit late, and Bedosian does not want to trance, right? He wants to save that trance. He needs it for the grab, for the EMP, and this is a free kill. And Excelsior, so this really stops the snowball because London has had such a great opportunity there to just snowball the entire map. But now they lose momentum. And now Excelsior actually get to catch up on ults. So even though they were 10-15% behind on all the ults, now they can hit that ult spike. Let's see if they look for that play again on Badoshan, just to force out an early ult. And you just saw London knows that SBB has his ult, and Badoshan got armored by Birdring. Birdring gave Badoshan the armor pack before they crossed this corner, anticipating that maybe the EMP might come out, but now the armor pack is worn off.
Pass.
SBB comes out, Badoshan trances. Yeah, like he could gamble and hold it, but he opts to go for it. And Burning also rallies on top of it. So the reason he rallies is because now that the trance is forced out early, SBB won't use his EMP until the trance is worn off. But if Excelsior just disengages, which is what they're doing, and then they re-engage with their EMP, it's going to be very, very difficult to survive for the Zarya, for the Zen. But during this duration of the trance, Birdring will be able to give armor to the entirety of his team. Maybe then they can spread out. Maybe they can somehow survive. But really, to win this fight, London has to get their ults out before SBB kind of takes them off the board with his EMP. You can see that the armor is ticking. Nice level block by Gesture. So Mano tries to relieve pressure with a Shatter, and when he doesn't, when he's not able to do that, then Nene goes for the grab to relieve the pressure. And again, remember, Badoshan just tranced, so there's that counter is off the board. Nuss could beat this to counter it, but then SBB would just take the beat away with his EMP. So already London is pretty much screwed because of that early force trance, and because this grab didn't get eaten. All right, so let's see. Is Nuss considering this? Nuss is hiding. Nuss is hiding from the MP, and SBB is kind of keeping him occupied. But like I said, Prophet can always counter grab. You know, he didn't have his grab on the third point on in the other round, but now he does. So because he does, he can grab again the same three guys, the frontline guys, and ensure that Mano doesn't get to swing in it, he doesn't get to pin, and it's a little harder to follow up. Even so, SBB is still holding his EMP, and you have three supports on the side of Excelsior. So now you're holding all the cards here if you're the Excelsior.
Pass into the iris.
So Jonak trances. And now Nuss is still in a situation like he can't really beat. But once these grabs wear off, yeah, Shatter misses as well. Gesture gambles with the Shatter a little bit. And now London knows like they can't keep this space. They know that the EMP is still coming. They have to split up. Jonak negated, had obviously a better trance than Badoshan because he used it in a trance. And Libero gets a better rally because now they can push into London, who just blew 4 of their ultimates in sort of the opening engage. And Nuss still hiding, as we can see here. And at this point there's really no way that London can win this fight. And they can't really push into them. So now you can't play goats the conventional way now because of the ultimate situation. You know, Nuss can't give the aura to his team because he has to keep hiding for this EMP. Now let's see, where is SB playing? So SB is just pressuring behind the shield. He knows that they're holding all the cards. now we've ended up in a bit of a stalemate, and Fury has gotten his bomb. So really, the only thing that Spitfire can do to potentially win this fight is to Diva Bomb engage. Because if they just wait, well, they can't properly engage and let SB take the Diva Bomb off the board, so they pretty much have to Diva Bomb engage. But also look at the distance between the front lines. Like, this is a very difficult situation to actually get value out of the Diva Bomb engage, to actually close the distance. And even if you do, SB can sort of peel it off with his EMP, Animo can peel it off with his beat, and then Nuss's beat would have to be absolutely perfect to salvage the fight. And Fury would have to get a kill with his bomb, which is, it seems like that's what they're going for. Like, Fury's position here signals that he wants to set up a bomb and, you know, shoot it somewhere around this area. And now they've closed the distance a little bit, so he hasn't shot the bomb before they close the distance, which is good. And he goes for it. And yeah, London has nothing to fear. Like, they have to kind of go all in. They can't play slow. And Gesture pins, which puts Libero in a position where he counter pins. So now, where's Animo? Animo needs to beat to save this. I think Animo should have probably because of how London closed the distance. Like, Gesture stood here and Mano was here. He probably has to beat this bomb a little earlier. And then you can just kind of clean up with the EMP. Okay. Nice shield by Mano. But Jonak is kind of out of position as well. So Fury's bomb has split up Excelsior really, really well here. But Libero obviously dies to that. And Jonak also dies to that. And SPB held his ult the whole time. So Excelsior did have chances to potentially use it, but this mind game between Nuss and SBB, where both of them were just holding ultimates, it went on for so long, and Spitfire was the proactive team almost the entire the entire fight, and that's usually what the GOAT side will do. And because all of this took so long, now Bedosian has a new trance, while SBB still has not used his EMP. So could have been a little more proactive there if you're Excelsior. Let's see, SBB goes up on the high ground. Let's see how big of an EMP he can hit here, because he needs to hit it big. So now he kind of should like what he sees here. He can potentially get the supports. Bedosian could react and just trance a little prematurely, and that's what it seems. That's what Bedosian seems to be wanting to do here, I think. Let's take a look real quick. No, he's taking cover. He's taking cover. But this is the thing. Because, again, the EMP is on the board. Gesture holding this corner is a little bit risky, because if he gets EMP'd here, you might not be able to catch up with the support ultimates. Even if he doesn't get EMP, like, he gets a lot of swings, but there's a pretty big distance between Fury and Gesture and Prophet, so let's see. Now SVB can drop here and get 6 people. So this position is really good for the EMP. And, yeah, like Gesture was really isolated here, like hard holding this corner. So even though you have sort of the damage mitigation, because people have to hide, he takes so much damage. So now you're again in a I mean, this should make Doshin's decision a lot easier. He should just trance here, because he knows the EMP is on the board anyway, to save Gesture, and then maybe you can grind this fight out. But he doesn't, right? No, he doesn't. So when Gesture took all that damage, even though he got topped up, because Excelsior was really overextending, pushing hard, that's where Bedosian should trance. And again, it's very hard to react to that, because that's like a 0.5 second window, and you have to get it perfect. Because of that, SVB 6-man EMP. You're gonna stabilize now. Okay, SBB is in spawn.
Now show them.
He's getting a little bit of farm and spawn. Where is this translocator? Let's see where he translocates out. He should be on high ground somewhere. Where did he go? So, not great. Should always be looking for high ground. But now he just kind of farms behind shield. You know, like in this situation, if you're holding shield here with Excelsior, like this could potentially be a nice little checkpoint if you're SBB. You can still get resources from your backline, get a little bit of farm here. You're gonna pushed off. You're gonna slow down Spitfire a little bit, and you translocate out either to this roof or here or whatever. Because, and this is the thing, like because SBB goes for such a deep farm, I think it would be fine to just put your translocator here and maybe have Nuss hold the space as well. Like as long as Nuss holds the space and potential boops off to Lucio, if Lucio wants to go off, this should be a safe second checkpoint for SBB. Now you still have a lot of tools to deal with on the Excelsior side here, to deal with London. However, Birding does have his ult, so that should be the first ult being used here. And then we're going to see whether Nani gets his grab out first, which is very, very important, I think. Because, again, he's found a window where Prophet is at 94%. And like we discussed, if there is no counter grab, and Prophet can is at liberty to counter grab at any point, because there is no matrix on the side of Excelsior, this is the perfect moment to use it, because now you're going to get the trans out first. So you should be able to get somewhat better support ultimates. And maybe you can potentially find a kill here before anything happens. Just like we saw in the previous fight, right on third point attack, where Nene grabbed. This was the same ultimate timing, and they found a kill, and then London just threw away all the ults. So let's see how this plays out now. They also get Birdwing's rally and the trans. So now they traded 2 ults for 1, which is good. Because the alternative situation, the alternative thing that would have happened here was that Spitfire takes the space, they use their rally, and they just shove Excelsior away. So Excelsior falls back here, but they really don't have space to kite. Like Payload is almost at the checkpoint. So they would have to use an ultimate regardless to keep the space. But now, because they do go first, they get that rally out anyway, and they also force the chance. So very, very good by Excelsior here to go first. And we see the hack going off on Nuss as well. So now he's taking the beat out of the fight for a little bit. Can't really pin this, I don't think. But Manu does get a couple of good swings in. SBB has to get pushed off out of this position, so Fury pressures him. And a better rally. So Libero's rally is going to last longer than Birdring's. And now the counter grab comes out for Prophet. And the trans comes out. Libero gets pinned. Nice little boop by Animo. Hits the shatter. Ooh. So this translocator spot by SBB, awful. You know, like it's a little bit unlucky, but still, it's not great. And Gesture gets a 2 for 1. So now the fight is lost. Ooh, completely unnecessary beat by Nuss. So again, once again, really sloppy ult usage by London here. They had the fight. They would have been in a situation where they forced out Mano's ult, Nene's ult, Libero, Jonak, and then you head into the next fight to still have the beat. But they used 4 ults of their own, and they went into the fight with an ult advantage as well. Like SBB didn't have his ult, so still good for Excelsior because of how sloppy Spitfire is with their ults. Again, they collect the staggers here, and now SBB has his ult, and there's no support ult to worry about anymore for the side of Excelsior because Nuss beat it. So it becomes a lot easier. And because if you guys remember the situation where Fury had his bomb on second point, they could make the first move with the Diva Bomb. Whereas now it's a little bit harder to make that first move because, again, like we talked about, Excelsior will most likely retake through high ground. Actually, they don't. They don't, so this would potentially give London an opening to Diva Bomb in and dive early. But SB is already in good position. Because, again, you don't want to... The only way you win this fight if you're Spitfire, if you're proactive. If you use your ultimates before SB can take them off the board. But it doesn't seem like Fury is looking for that. Now they've already closed the distance, the moment is over. Like, Fury should already be bombing here, and they should be pushing it. That's the only way they can win this fight, or at least force out more ultimates. Maybe force out Animal's ult as well. Because in reality, if that was the play call, and Fury bombs, and these guys push away, and SBB uncloaks here, it's going to be very difficult for him to catch the backline and Badoshin. There's going to be a lot more space. Like, now these guys are a lot more clumped up than they should be. But they take a passive approach. They take a passive approach and they choose to spread instead, which is also a viable play. So you either have to spread out really well, or you have to go for that proactive play. So they choose to spread out. And again, like you see, everyone's just on the edge of the EMP. The same thing would have happened if they would have gone first with the Fury's ult. The only difference is there would be a Diva Bomb kind of screening and protecting these guys. Also, very good armor pack by Birdwing here. He hits Badoshin, so it delays the kill potential a little bit. And Fury, does Fury dodge this? If Fury dodges this, he can actually potentially save Badoshin. And it seems like he does. Yeah, and they do. But because the MP goes on Badoshin, all the resources go into saving him. Armor pack goes on to him, Bubble goes on to him, all the Matrix goes on to him, Nuz goes to peel him. Meanwhile, Gesture is like, come on guys, what about me? So, even though the MP wasn't great, you still have to rededicate your entire, all of your resources, and you still end up pretty much losing this fight if you're London, which is, again, why I would have preferred Spitfire to go for a proactive play, like look for a Diva Bomb dive. Because if there's a Diva Bomb, if the MP comes out, but there's already a Diva Bomb in the air, the front line of Excelsior can't as aggressively push Gesture. There's a higher chance that Gesture survives. Okay, let's take a look at this. So now, Spitfire's caught up a little bit on ults. And Nene is coming up on his Grav, and again, very important for Excelsior to have any chance in this fight to sort of make a proactive play with their Grav. And again, there is that opening of around 10%, or like not 10%, but 8% between Nene and Prophet, where Nene can use it and Prophet doesn't have a counter, which is the only way really Excelsior can get more ults out of Spitfire here. Ooh, so they choose, again, I prefer this. They opt for an aggressive approach. Diva Bomb dive for the side of Spitfire, and maybe this might have been, so let's actually scroll back a little bit and take a look at who called this, who engaged first, because the plan for Excelsior could either be let's beat engage when they get close, or it could be if they Diva Bomb us, we will beat engage. Because you don't want Fury to bomb and then you just give up all the space. You want, if you're going to lose the fight, you want to lose the fight right where the payload is. Let's see. Is this... Okay, this is still the fight. So let's see which ult comes out first. Because that's important here too. It does actually feel like this is the play call. I think that... Oh yeah, so... Yeah, Animal's beat is already being popped. He pops it first. So the plan is clearly to just beat dive here. And Excelsior hopes to force out as many ults as possible here. Force out the Grav, force out the Trance potentially. Lose the fight here and then retake the next fight with EMP. Or, because they're making the first move, maybe they can win. And the plan on Spitfire's side is probably Diva Bomb engage. So now, this has really worked out in Spitfire's favor. Because the B dive is coming in. Fury is out of mech, and this bomb is really not going to get anything because these guys, Excelsior is already pushing away from the bomb explosion. So the bomb can never really get value here. Not optimal value anyway. Unless Gesture hits a shatter here, which he goes for. But he doesn't. Then gets bashed out of it. once again. So Excelsior putting pressure on first, forcing out mistakes out of Spitfire. So two ults, two tank ults that haven't gotten value. And everyone's overwhelming gesture now. So now Bedosian probably has to trance, right? To save gesture. Again, really bad situation for Bedosian because there's still a grav on the side of Nene. So he wants to hold it until Nene uses grav, but gesture is under so much pressure. And Bedosian is really far away. So if he wants to trance to save, like if Bedosian was here or here, it would be a lot easier for him to make a decision and reactively trance if they can't top up gesture. But because he's here, it's basically either hold the trance and let gesture die, or trance right now and risk gesture potentially dying even though you use trance. So very tough decision.
Pass.
Right? Is he gonna get him? He barely gets him, but you can see how gesture could have potentially died anyway. And Prophet has to grab anyway. So you've used the beat as Excelsior for trance, grab, Diva Bomb, and graph. 1 for 4. You've just salvaged the round right here. You don't need to do really anything else. It's completely fine to lose the fight here if you're Excelsior. Just incredible value out of the beat. But they could potentially still turn it. Because of how close in succession these 4 ultimates came out from London, you can still win this fight. Especially if you hit your ults. Mano misses it. And obviously, let's see, where is Nene? Is Nene going to grab this? I really hope he doesn't.
Pass into the
Okay, so they try to salvage it. But so the difference is that Joan, even though Libera dies here, so it's still winnable. Like they try to salvage it and it's still winnable because A, Jonax trance came out later, so the trance is gonna last longer, and B, their grav came out later, so their grav is gonna last longer. This is gonna give an opening for Mano to pin and get a kill and equalize this, and it's gonna be a 5 versus 5. And then it's definitely still winnable, especially since SBB has gotten a hack on Fury, so there's a lot less damage mitigation. So actually, it's fine. It's not too bad. It's completely fine to commit here and try to win this fight. And even though this is 6 versus 5 right now, because of the way the ults are in this situation, this is still super winnable for Excelsior. Nene steps in to try and cut the trance a little bit. Nice boop by Nuss. Nice bubble. So the only way this fails is if Burden can bash Mano out of his pin. But Nene hits the bubble here at a very nice time. And Burden can't really bash it. Like, he goes for the bash, but he doesn't hit it. So this should result in a kill. Actually, very nice bubble by Prophet. But still, like, Nuss is a little bit out of position. All of these guys should be turning on Nuss. Should still result in a kill on Nuss, I think. Well, maybe. But it doesn't. So, or does it? No, it doesn't. So very nice peel. Birdman gave him the armor pack. Prophet gave him the bubble. So high level peel there. And now you're in a bit of trouble. If that pin hits, then you're in a good spot. But now you can't really keep the space. Again, you're 1 man down. You don't have your brig. Burden has rally. So, yeah. And you're just gonna die. Which is, again, even though London seemingly made so many mistakes, and Excelsior kind of played perfectly off of those mistakes, there's still so much more room for error when you're playing the 3-3 over Sombra Goats. And because, and this is why, like I said, I didn't mind them trying to win the fight, but I also would have liked them to just kind of dry fight there, because you've already forced out 4 ultimates, so now the side of Excelsior could be retaking with a Graviton and a Trance. And the old situation otherwise would be completely the same. So that Graviton and that Trance would buy SBB more time to get his EMP, and this fight would be a lot easier to win for Excelsior. Okay, so Fury's solo pushing and a lot of pressure into spawn here. Early rally and a lot of pressure into spawn by London here. So it's going to be really difficult to get out of spawn. Let's see, where is this BB? Can he maybe he can hack Fury and prevent that pressure a little bit, because these guys need to get back into spawn. They can't hold the space. They can never hold that space. Need to back off and then re-engage with Libero's ult, and then hope that we can buy a little bit of time, or get a hack, or do something. Okay, so they do pop rally. They start pushing out. Another whiff on the Shatter by Gesture. He's whiffing a lot of these, or Mono's blocking a lot of them. And again, remember, Nuss has the beat, and SBB, he has very good. I mean, he makes quite a few mistakes, but he has really good EMPs so far. At least some of them. Almost all of them get a lot of value, even those that are seemingly bad. And he understands which ults he needs to take off the board. So if he takes the beat off the board, Excelsior is back in the game. No one's pushing cart right now either. And he does take that ult off the board. So now also no speed boost. So remember, Birdring popped rally first. Libero is going to have a better rally. You've taken out the beat and the speed boost. So there's no way for these guys to get out. So they should be dying here. And also because Fury was solo pushing this entire way, all the way from here, Payload is not that close to the checkpoint, so none of the Excelsior guys need to throw their body on the point either. And because that Gesture dies. So SBB really saves this. Like, he really saves Excelsior here with that hack on Nuss. Really nice play. But if he doesn't get that play, even with all the mistakes London has done, like ult-wise, they would have finished this map with 2 minutes to go, most likely. So again, it shows you the difference of how perfectly you have to play the Summer Goats and how you have to have sort of things going your way. But again, credit to SBB for that play. I wish the rewind was set to 5 seconds. Yeah, I wish so too. So now we're heading to the next fight. We have the EMP, still the double support ult on the side of Excelsior, but sorry, on the side of Spitfire. But we've stocked up on ults pretty nicely here, if you're Excelsior. Let's see how they opt to use these ultimates. They have the grab, they have the EMP. Again, Wing in, Excelsior is. And Nene uses his grab to relieve that pressure. Forces out the trans. Let's see how quickly Prophet counter grabs here. Because again, you remember, you don't want to hold on to your ults for too long here, because SBB can at any point EMP and take them off the board. So Prophet wants to get rid of his grab here. He wants this grab to come out before the EMP comes out. And he does. He uses it pretty early. And Jonak uses his trance, but his positioning he's pretty far from the fight. Like, you could still potentially convert a kill maybe here. Although it's rather difficult, because these, again, the front line of Spitfire stuck in the grab, they can't fully follow up on this grab either. So, and again, because Nene went first with his grab, Jonak's trance is going to end a little bit later, which is very important. And let's see, what is our bird boy Nuss up to? Like, Nuss is in a position where he could get EMP'd here, so he needs to get out of there if he wants to counter it. And Mono goes for a Shatter. Yeah, he shatters to take himself out of the grab animation, but nice block here by Gesture. Again, Jonak's trance is lasting longer, so they're good here. And now London has to hide from the EMP again. You know, we go back to the same mind game. Where did Nuss go? Let's take a look at where Nuss is. Okay, so he knows SBB's here. Let's take a look how this plays out. SBB gets forced out, but now Nuss can't really peek out again. Like, he's probably gonna try and use this corner to try and counter it. SBB is on the right side. And this isn't a really that great of a spot for a Diva Bomb engage. So really, what has put Excelsior in this type of a spot is because Nene is so good at getting his grabs off first. They can force out all of the ultimates and then control the tempo a little bit with the EMP. And yeah, Nuss is, as you can see, Nuss is hiding. Doesn't want to get EMP'd.
Nerf this.
So Fury does go for the bomb. So again, we see the same scenario playing out where Fury doesn't want to get his bomb removed from the game by the EMP. He Diva bomb engages. Again, I like the play. Might be a little bit harder to get value out of it, but still, like, this bomb is going to land pretty deep, and Mono can't really fall back too far because the payload is very close to the checkpoint once again. But Animo does have the beat to block this. So now everyone's traded out all of their ults, and the only ults that are on the board are the EMP and the beat. The difference is, if this bomb doesn't get kills, this beat is going to allow Excelsior once again to push in, just like we saw in the previous fight on third point. Like, they can push and pressure a lot, and then Nuss has to make a decision. Do I beat it to try and save my front line, or do I keep it for the EMP? So once again, Excelsior is holding the cards in this fight. They do lose their shield though, and again, like I said, they don't have a lot of space to fall back on, so a ton of pressure here for the Excelsior. Someone has to touch the point, but again, the beat is still up, so Libero, while Mono is recharging shield a little bit, Libero can potentially stop the payload progress here, draw the aggro of the front line, and this should potentially give time for SBB to come in and maybe hit an EMP. Right, so like I said, Libero comes in, draws the aggro. Everyone's watching him, right? Like, the only one who can count, because this is a bit of a risky spot for the EMP. You're in the middle of everyone. SBB doesn't know what Birdring is looking at. If Birdring is looking in this direction, he could bash him out of it. But regardless of what happens, SBB does have to go for this. And again, because Libero draws the aggro here, these three guys look at him, he can get this off. Especially since Fury is still getting back into his mech here, right? Like, he can't really... he can start shooting just now. So, unless Bedosian hits a headshot here, this should be a pretty big EMP. And Nuss is actually peeking out a little bit. Let's see if he gets EMP'd here too. Okay, he doesn't. But still, he is very high up on this platform. So it's going to take quite a while for him to go from here to the ground to drop the beat. Before that happens, you've already hit all 5 of the other members. So Gesture is going to die regardless. Bedosian's probably going to die. So this whole time, like, Nuss is just trying to counter it. He's probably going to use it and waste it. Yeah, like you see. It's not even close. Not even close to getting it off. And both of those guys should die. And they do. So again, good ult trading. Nene, hero of the fight, getting his grab off first. And again, because he keeps getting his grab off first in these fights, he ends up in these situations where he's always like just 10% ahead of profit. Which is, again, we're in the same situation. And now we're heading into a last fight scenario. You don't have anything on the side of Spitfire. Rally's gonna come out for Excelsior. So that's gonna be the first ult on the board. Gesture still has a shadow, you can still potentially clutch it. But Excelsior does have some tools to work with. I would like to see them looking for a hack and then pushing with the rally. Let's see. From this situation. Or potentially looking for a Discord. And trying to assassinate with SBB. SBB gets kind of pushed out. He gets the Mega, but SBB is really far out of the fight. Like, he can still contribute to this fight. This is fine. So even, like, London knows that, like, SBB is there, we have to pressure. We have the better brawl comp. But the difference now is they don't have an ultimate to take the space with, whereas Libero can use his rally just to hold on to the space. And the longer he can hold on to the space, or, you know, they can kite back to here potentially and hold the space, this is going to give time for SBB to push in and pressure the back line. Okay, so Bedosian doesn't know. Yeah, I can see the rally comes out, so they can hold that space. SBB, Translocator behind. Not the best of hacks, but still something. And he draws aggro of 2 people. He's getting value. This means that he's not getting the peel from Nuss. And he doesn't have an orb. and there's no Discord that can come out of the side of the Spitfire. So with this rally, you should be able to secure the kills. Maybe. Excelsior, I think, could have pushed that. I think they're a little bit passive. Libero was really overextending for this kill, whereas the rest of the team was a little bit passive. I think you can, because of how this all played out, I think you could potentially caught Gesture here. But because you don't, now you've given enough time for Birdwing to get his ult. Now you're a little bit of a trouble because you've overextended. And Libero, now Birdwing has the better rally. But Nene again, they've been proactive. They had the energy advantage. Nene used his grab first in the previous fight. He's 30% ahead of Prophet here. So he should be able to grab and kill them. Bedosian does almost have his trans, but it's not there yet. So SUB again draws aggro from both. Once again, Jonak sneaks in this Discord, and this pressure forces two people to focus him. While two people are focusing him, the EMP comes out. I mean, sorry, not the EMP, the Graviton comes out. And because Bedosian is not shooting tanks and farming up his trans, he hasn't hit it yet. He's trying to hit SBB. And that hurts his ult charge time as well. EMP comes out. Gesture still has a shatter, so Mono has to be careful about pinning here. So Nene uses bubble. Look at how quickly the bubble disappeared on Mono. So he can't really pin this. It's going to be a very risky pin. He does get armor though. He gets topped up. You could potentially look for it. Is he going to do it? Bedosian's come back into the fight. He almost has his trans. He got the trans. Okay, so Mono isn't pinning. He isn't pinning. He's looking for the shadow, which is correct because him going for the pin here without the bubble, it's just a gamble. And when he has shadow, he never has to look for that. But still, like he's taking so much damage because they don't have the damage mitigation from D.Va, and he just blows up. But Jonak is now you're playing to survive here. If you're Excelsior, you're playing for Jonak to hit his trance, which he does. So he even if the shatter hits, Jonak can save these guys, and then SB is gonna hit his EMP. And again, Prophet wants to get rid of his grab as soon as possible so that SB doesn't take it off the board, and that's really what's gonna decide this game. Can he get it off? He does get it off. But he gets Jonak, who you can't really kill. And Libero. No, okay, never mind. You can they got him. And the MP comes out, but it's a little bit late. So Excelsior aren't playing too bad. Spitfire is very aggressive, but they're a bit sloppy with their ultimates. In a lot of the fights, but once again, that's what Sombra does to you. It makes you rethink how you use your ultimates, and it's a lot harder to make these decisions. As we saw, Bedosian has been put in so many situations where it's almost impossible for him to make the right decision. Whatever decision he makes, it's gonna be very difficult. And sometimes his team actually puts him in those situations by being a little bit over aggressive. Hello once again. Hello. That's again what we talked about. It's very difficult to hold this first point, especially in overtime. To display Summer Goats here is it's really not that smart. So you need a clutch like we saw last time, or you need a bit of value out of that concave when you set it up. So let's see how they do. Okay, so Spitfire opts to go this path, maybe because they didn't like how this crossfire setup looked. You know, maybe they realized that Bedosian could have potentially died there, so they opt to take this corner instead. SB takes this high ground, which is nice. It's a pretty oppressive high ground, but at least Jonak is on a different high ground. And Nene takes this. So instead of Jonak on the high ground, now you have Nene and SBB on the high grounds. And these guys, frontline again, just kiting. Anamo speed boosting to get his main tank out of the way. The further they push, SBB can drop and pressure them, and Nene can pressure them as well. But you've run out of space to kite. Like this is the objective you have to defend. So once again, very, very difficult with Sombra Goats here. Good bash by Libero here to stop the momentum a little bit. And very nice hack by SBB. So this bash to stop gesture and the hack to take off Bubbles off of Profit is huge. I mean, he doesn't have Bubbles anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, but still. And Birdwing is discorded. So because of this, like, if Nene is playing behind the shield in this fight is lost. But because he and SBB took these high ground angles, now Birdwing is in trouble. He's gotten the Discord, and he can easily die because SBB and Nene can shoot him in the back. He bashes, but he hits Nene's bubble. Poor target focus. Nene and SBB should be communicating, and Birdwing should already be dead here. But he's going for Bedoshin instead. They could easily kill Birdwing and then transition to Bedoshin. Even so, you can see in the health bars that Lynn is pretty much screwed here anyway. But you can see, this should have been at least 1 or 2 kills. But the split focus between SBB and Nene makes this fight still winnable for London. Ooh, I don't want to take so much damage. So once again, advantage London. Let's see how Excelsior salvage this. London takes off the high ground. Now they force everyone onto the ground. SBB does have an off angle, but again, no room to kite here. You have to stop the objective as the defense. No room to kite. But SBB takes a nice off angle. Seems like he's gonna get the hack here on Birdwing. And once again, the Discord is on Birdwing. So you want these once SBB is taking these off angles, you want the Discord on Bedoshin, you want it on Birdwing, or potentially on Nuss. And now, again, this is a kill you can easily convert. Jonak has an angle, SBB has an angle, this should be a free kill. And this is the only way you survive this. Which is why it's super important that you're wary of this, like you read this movement. As soon as we make a move forward, if we're London, if we're making a move forward, Fury or someone, watch this. Like, pay attention. Either this angle or this angle. We cannot let them get a hack here. Is the only way Excelsior can win the fight. And because of that, Birdwing has to fall back. Half the team is playing a slow tempo and trying to fall back. Half the team is overextended. Now you're split. And SBB can clean up the backline. And because London is pushing the pace so early in these fights, they didn't even get attack. So really on the knife's edge here. Really on the knife's edge. For Excelsior. But they are playing the high grounds well. They're kiting well. They're getting the hacks off just in the right moments. They're making it a little hard on London, but yeah. It felt. I'm not sure about this pathing to go all the way around here actually. Because even if you go main, it's very easy to clear this high ground, and it's a lot easier to split. You know, so when in the second round when we saw the Spitfire go this way, SBB, Nene were playing off angles, but no one was really split. Whereas when they went here the first time, Jonak I think was split here. You had obviously SBB here, but then once you pressure the defense all the way around here, and now Jonak is kind of in no man's land. And now like everyone was still able to help, which is why Jonak was able to sneak in these discords really nicely. Now we have 135 to get a tick. So let's see how first point defense adjusts here. Same thing, 2 versus 1 on point. SB is playing distance a lot more. He understands that, and I actually like this too. What he does is he hacks the mini. So he has a little more sustain to keep this position. Because he just wants to keep these two, as long as he keeps these two occupied, Excelsior knows that they've made the read. They have a lot more freedom to move around, or bait at least. And this is a bait, I think. Or maybe it's not. Maybe they try to cross, and then Jonak somehow ends up here. But look at how split London is, you know. So they're always calling these engages. As soon as Excelsior tries to take a little bit of map control, they call these engages, and they're split on the chase. They need to call which way they're gonna push, because these two are pushing here, these two are here, and these two are here. And if they don't get a kill here, now Jonak is probably gonna go on a flanking mission or something. You're gonna have SBB pressuring for here. Now you're gonna be. Now you've given up your high ground, and it's going to be a chaotic situation if you can't secure kills.
No.
And you can't, right? Like because have the team chase here, have the team chase here. Now you've given up all this space. Now they can actually cross, potentially. And SBB has high ground. And Libero has an angle to armor him as well here, I think. And he does. He armors him to top him up. Now Bedoshin is, like, he can't really help in the front line because he has to focus on SBB, who's just been topped up. Now New York's, like, Animo gets isolated. Can he survive here? So Animo really needed to get into that room. If he got into that room, that would have been perfect. Because then you can go around here. You can potentially take high ground. If you get pressured, it's beacon pressure from another high ground. It would be a lot easier. But Animo dies. Even though he dies, you have gotten that space. So like I said, they're taking the top. And London, once again, they don't want to let Excelsior have this space for free. But which way are they pushing? Who are they pushing? They're pushing main. But Fury is pushing top. Oh, what a clutch pin. What a clutch pin. But once again, Spitfire is just split on all these engagements. Two guys went here. Fury shifted up here, and they're a little bit split. And then Mano hits this really clutch pin. Gets counter pinned, but then that kills Gesture.
60 seconds remaining.
And this is where you win. Bedoshin actually clutches. But you're losing, guy. Like, you're not in control of this fight anymore. Ooh.
Into the iris.
Yeah, it's just sloppy fighting. Yeah. So they managed to make it scrappy there. Excelsior did, and London was just like all over. You could tell that comms were chaotic in the last fight. They were all over the place. They were running back and forth. They were splitting their engagements. London was, which is why they had a lot of openings to get kills, but they never really secured any kills. So, or they secured them too late. They didn't get the first kill of the fights, and so on. So, thanks for watching, guys. To keep supporting this type of content and the channel, hit the magical subscribe and like buttons. Also, make sure you hop onto the Mineral Miners Discord to join the community and potentially take advantage of some coaching. You can find the link in the description box down below.